Thank you so much for hopping on today's video. We will be discussing exactly who should not be doing intermittent fasting. Today is our 5th episode of the intermittent fasting series. If you do like what you see here within the Healthy Life Balance community, remember to subscribe to my channel. You're going to see free workouts from home that you can do with minimal equipment, educational videos like this one, and much more. Into it. Number one, anyone that's pregnant, makes sense, right? You should definitely eat when you're hungry, but also understand that you should not be using your pregnancy as a reason to overeat and just eat all day and to just splurge on whatever you want to splurge on. I know way too many people that use it as a cop-out. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. They use it as a cop-out, and it's like, oh, the baby needs it. Well, actually, the baby does not need that much more than what you already consume when you're not pregnant, but you shouldn't be calorie restricting. You shouldn't be depriving your body of what it needs on a nutrient level, okay? Number two, nursing. Same exact thing, you guys. Women think that they need like so much more when they're nursing. It's really not the case, but you do need some additional nutrients. You need some additional calories because your body is burning calories as you do nurse. I myself nursed for 14 months, and honestly, initially it was a great way to burn calories. I don't know if any of you guys would agree with me, but after a while, your body does start holding on to what you're putting in it and storing it as fat in those little areas that were really difficult to get rid of until I stopped nursing. So not to say you should put your body before your child's well-being, because that's everyone's own decision. I don't get into any of that. I think it's a great way of supplying your child with the best nutrition. However, I just feel that the body does hold on to a little bit more fat when you're doing this, okay? Number three, and side note, if any of you guys want a customized prenatal plan or nursing plan, then please message me because I do offer that. Young children, babies, I get this question a lot from my clients that are doing intermittent fasting plans, and they would like to know if their young child can do it. Now, high school age, typically they say 18 and up, but they say, right? So every person's different, every child is different. I don't preach intermittent fasting to young children by any means. I don't think it's healthy to instill the fasting portion of it, because until they're at a certain maturity level, they don't understand why they're fasting. Then it can be really quite detrimental in the long run if they're getting this whole idea of starving yourself and fasting and calorie deprivation is the goal, because that's not it at all. And so I do want to make a point right here that intermittent fasting is not a means to be in a calorie deficit. Like, the definition of intermittent fasting is not that you are in a calorie deficit. And I think that's where the misconception of healthy versus not healthy comes into play, because people hear the word fasting and they think that's not safe. You shouldn't deprive your body of nutrients. You shouldn't be depriving your body of calories. And honestly, that is not why I do it. That is typically why I don't have at least half of my clients doing intermittent fasting. It's for all the other benefits: cognitive function, detoxification, mental clarity, sleep, hormone balance. Has nothing to do with being in a calorie deficit. Yes, that can kind of come with the territory for those that are trying to burn fat and they're trying to lose weight and knock the pounds off. Yes, it all comes together. However, I utilize intermittent fasting for far more than weight loss, because I don't ever put my body in a calorie deficit, because that's not my goal. And so a lot of times people think it's very unhealthy, and it's because they think you're depriving your body of nutrients, calories, macros, the whole thing. And that could not be further from the truth. Now, not to say that some people don't use it that way and they're really depriving their body of nutrients and calories and macros and all the things, because a lot of people do. But it's like with anything else. There's keto, there's healthy keto. There's, macro counting, people that are eating the correct foods that are low glycemic and they understand foods in their body. And there's people that are just, if it fits into my macros, right? So it's really hard to judge someone when you hear, oh, they're doing that, that's unhealthy. Because honestly, I used to do the same with the vegan lifestyle. I thought, you know what? They're depriving their body of meat and protein. And, I was very narrow-minded, and that's something that I feel comes with maturity, comes with growth, is being open to other ways of thinking and really understanding what things mean, and that not everything is black and white. So I get on my side tangents here. Okay, thin people. The reason why this is not good for thin people is because if they're already struggling, this kind of feeds into the next one, with eating disorders, and they're already depriving their body and they are cutting their calories down to a minimum, this is obviously a potential here, doing intermittent fasting, that people could do that. If you're not able to consume a good, full, big meal, if you can't consume larger meals, if you're someone like that too, and you can't get the proper nutrients within 2 meals, 3 meals a day, this is not something for you. Yes, maybe for weight loss, but in the long run, that's where all the issues come into play. And it creates very unhealthy habits, I think, for a lot of people that don't have that right mindset. And people with eating disorders don't have the right mindset when it comes to food and food being acceptable and it being okay to do intermittent fasting, but it's not so much because I'm gonna calorie deprive and I'm gonna not eat as much as I should be eating because that means I'm gonna be losing weight. That's not the goal. That might be one of the goals for some people, but you should be doing intermittent fasting for a world of other good, okay? If that even makes sense, a world of other good. A lot of more additional things, okay? So down below, these things that I wrote in blue are kind of the things that I hear people talking about a lot, that it's not healthy for this person to do intermittent fasting and this person in this situation. Now, women, there's a lot of hype and a lot of question around women with hormone issues and all of that. PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, is down below, so it kind of feeds into that. But let's talk about fertility. I've heard people talking about fertility. It's not good because you are depriving your body of nutrients. Again, just that. We are not depriving our body of nutrients if you are doing this correctly. So you're doing intermittent fasting. It is an eating technique. It is not a diet. It is not a deprivation state. It is not anything of the sort if done correctly. So you as a woman 100% can benefit from intermittent fasting. And if you are getting a sufficient amount of nutrients, you're getting the proper macros, your body is not starving. That is not the goal of intermittent fasting whatsoever. So just understand that many studies prove that fertility is not decreased in women that are doing intermittent fasting. There's actually quite a few studies that show that it's beneficial for fertility. I myself have actually trained 2 men. Now I know this is kind of like going on the other side of it, but 2 men that had been trying to have a child with their significant other. Them and their spouse started doing intermittent fasting, and after, I think it was like 6 months for the one man and then like 3 months for the other, they were pregnant. I'm not claiming I was the reason for it. Intermittent fasting was the reason for it. All I'm saying is that it is not hurting your fertility potential doing intermittent fasting if done correctly. Diabetics. Insulin is the issue with diabetics, right? Whether you're type 1 or you're type 2. And when you are doing intermittent fasting, the whole premise behind it is that we're minimizing the opportunities to spike insulin. Because remember, every single time we eat, you spike insulin to a certain degree, whether how small or how big. that just depends on what food you eat. But even when you are chewing gum, if it's, got a little bit of sweetener in it, the digestive enzymes are triggering an insulin response. So just understand that the chewing process is making our brain think that we're eating. So enzymes will trigger that response. If you eat a low glycemic meal, still has a very small increase in insulin. You eat a high glycemic food, has a huge spike in insulin. Okay, so whether it be small or big, if we're in the presence of insulin, we're not able to burn fat efficiently. Okay, so that's why when we only eat 2 to 3 times in that day, that's the only 2 times or 3 times that we have the opportunity to spike insulin, and we're going to be able to burn fat efficiently throughout the rest of the day that we're not eating. So if you're eating 7 times a day, it's like spike, 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 and then that can be detrimental and lead to type 2 diabetes if you always have that elevated insulin, because it's like with anything else, you become resistant to it. And so your pancreas has to keep shooting out more and more insulin to do the same job as it did when you were younger, or years ago when you were eating healthy, and now you're eating like crap and you're eating 6-7 times a day because you're grazing all throughout the day. And side note, even if you are only consuming 1,000 calories in a day and you're really low on calories, but you're grazing throughout the day and you're popping jelly beans, you're eating some rice cakes, you're eating, whatever it is, some straw, like a big fruit salad, but your calories are low, but everything you're eating is spiking blood sugar and you're eating all throughout the day, that can lead to type 2 diabetes, and that can lead to fat storage. So just be aware of that. And then, again, like I said, PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, hormonal issues with women, it's a very prevalent thing amongst women. And, a lot of people come to me and they're like, well, my doctor said that I should not be doing intermittent fasting. I should be eating first thing in the morning, and I should be, okay, well, that can work. But I think a lot of times they're thinking fasting is not good because it is depriving the body of nutrients and calories and yada, yada, yada. And so, yes, eventually that's going to lead to a world of issues, but that's not the motive behind the mission here at Healthy Life Balance, my friends, okay? So hopefully this video was helpful. Sorry I ramble from time to time. And remember, subscribe if you find this valuable, and we will talk soon. Have a great day.